Okay, you guys, you will see under modules 8 through 10, our last three modules, I created a page here that's project 4 flower pattern, and this is kind of a draft pattern that I've made so far. And so you can see here, I kind of talked about I kind of started just jotting down information. Anytime I'm trying to write a pattern, I start jotting down what kind of a weight yarn I'm using, the colors. So remember we used, you know, we could do like this, but then we can do colors, and I think it was green and it was like a medium pink, um, light pink, and if you can get a dark pink, that would be better. I couldn't find a dark pink in time. I've got three different pinks, so I'm gonna work with that. But I wanted to try to do the ombre. Okay, if you guys want to just do one pink, you're fine. You don't have to do all three pinks. You don't have to do the color changes. So then we have that, and then for the base, I'm doing a 5 millimeter hook because we want the base to be large enough. So let's start on the base, but with the actual petals, I decided it's better to change to maybe a 3.5 or 4 millimeter hook, and that way we create a tighter knit, a tighter stitch, and we can transition from one color to another. It's going to be a little bit better if we swap to a slightly smaller hook. So let's start with the base, okay? The base, I'm going to take a picture of this so we can actually do the base together right now. The base is super simple. It's kind of very similar the um, to the coaster. So let's hit save here. These are my notes for the small petals. You're welcome to look at them and decide if you want to make it like this or if we want to change it a little bit. So we will talk about that once we get to it. Let's hit save here. Let's go back over here to the screen or the camera. Okay, so I'm using the base color of green, so I'm just going to grab a green. I'm still right now using my 5 millimeter hook. Same hook, haven't changed. The only time I'm going to change is for the petals. Um, okay, so we start with the magic ring. Basically want to start similar to kind of like that coaster. We want to make a circular shape. Right? We want to do like a circular shape here. So I like to start with the magic ring. If you want to, do the, you know, 4 or 5 single crochets or chains and then connect that to make your little ring, you can. But I like this better. I think the magic ring is much better because you can tighten it all the way. Um, and then we're going to chain 2 because we need to raise the yarn. We're chaining 2 in order to raise this away from the ring, right? Always kind of need to start with like a chain 1 or chain 2 or something. And the reason why I'm chaining 2 is I'm going to do 10 double crochets into the ring, and that's going to create a small circle, my first circle. So 10 double crochets into the ring. think that was 10, but I will make sure. And I am not counting that first, the two chains, I'm not counting as a double crochet in the very beginning. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the first two chains I'm not counting. Okay. So then now I can pull on my string and close up our magic ring. And we've got our circle, but we need to close up the circle. So I like to slip stitch into the top of the chain two. Actually, sorry, I slip stitch right into the top of this double crochet. So I skip the chain two and I'm just going to slip stitch into here. Okay, and that gives me my my first ring. Okay. Oh, why did I put slip stitch into the top of chain two? Maybe I decided to change it. So it really doesn't matter. Well, you can, so here's the difference. You could decide to slip stitch into the top of chain two, so you would count 1, 2, and slip stitch into there, right? 1, 2, slip stitch into here. Okay, you're still closing the round, and then you would be putting your crochets into here. So chain two, double crochet in the back loop of each stitch all the way around. So here's why it's the same, and I'll show you both ways, okay? You're going to chain two and raise the yarn again. 1, 2, and then essentially all you're doing is you're putting 2 double crochets into the back loop of each stitch. So you can, so basically this is the next stitch here, right? You can do it that way. You can put it, the 2 double crochets into the back loop. Okay, remember this is we've got our stitch, we've got the front loop and the back loop. We want to make sure to leave the front loop available because we're going to work into those later. We're going to work the petals into those later. So back loop here, right? And you do your 2 double crochets. Now here's why it's pretty much the same if you decided to do, the only difference is if you decided to join on the top of the actual double crochet instead. Here's a slight difference. All you would be doing is you would join on top of that instead on the double crochet, chain 2 still, and then you're still just putting 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Does that make sense? So you really can do it either way. All you really want to do is make sure you're putting, oh, I didn't go into the back loop. All you want to do is you're making sure that you put a double crochet into the back loop of each stitch. And as long as you have the 2 double crochets in every back loop all the way around, you're good. So I put 2 in here. I'm going to the next one. You got to remember to do the back loop because I forget too when I was doing this. Go into the back loop, do another 2 double crochets, and you're just doing 2 in every single one. Because you got to expand, right? You're going from a small circle to a larger circle in your next round. And so you kind of have to double up. You're doing your 2 double crochets in the back loop of every single stitch. It is important to go into that back loop, otherwise you won't have something to go into later. And by the end, you should have 20, right? 20 if you're not including that very first chain two. Let's make sure I'm doing two here, yes. So anytime I'm working out a pattern, you'll notice that for me, I will rip out my stitches. If I'm not happy with the end work, I will rip out and change the pattern to whatever I want. And that when you write your own patterns, you'll find yourself doing that sometimes. And just remember that that's okay. Yes, it can get a little frustrating, but that's how you learn, right? That's how you kind of get better and you try different things. And as you get to this point, you realize that you can really try new things. Don't feel like you have to always stick with what's been done in the past. You may find that you come up with something interesting and new that no one's ever done before. So don't limit yourself. Okay, I think I've arrived at the very last one here. I just want to double check. I think I did. This is the last one, but let's make sure. Did I put two into here? I'm going to count, but I'll count quietly. 6, 16, 18. Yep, 18. So I have two more to do in this very last stitch. Don't forget, go into the back loop. So easy to forget. Okay. So we've made another round of crochets and then slip stitch into I did top of chain two again, but again, it doesn't matter. You can choose to do, your slip stitch. You could do your slip stitch here. You can do it even just here in this space, or you could do it at the top here. I mean, it really, all of those are acceptable, okay? Let's just do it into here so you guys can see the difference, okay? Slip stitch, the whole point of the slip stitch is to join. You still have to raise the yarn again, so you're going to chain two again. 1, 2. Okay, and then you're going to be putting, because this is your chain, this is your first stitch right here. Okay, so you're not going back in here, you're going into this one here. This is your first double crochet of last round, right? Yeah. Let me make sure that's right. This is the chain two, this is the double crochet right here, yes. And then we're again building and making that circle bigger. So to keep that from curling, we don't want to just do another 2 double crochets in every stitch around. That will end up making your circle wavy, right? Because that's just too many. So every time you do that, you want to go into the back loop again. We're going to do 2 double crochets in the first stitch, okay? And then only 1 in the next, and then we'll repeat that all the way around. So 2 double crochets into the back loop of the first stitch. and then only one in the next. Okay, only one in the next, and you repeat that all the way around. Make sure you're going into the back loop. So that's only one. Go back to two. And this time you really kind of have to pay attention here. Make sure you're not accidentally doing two all the time or only one all the time. It's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 into the back loop. And if you lose count or you get confused, you can still look, you can always look to see what you did in the previous one, right? I can see I put one in here. I can see in this last one I put two. And then this one I did one. So I'm on good pace. You can always pause and look at what you've done before if you feel like you've gotten lost. So 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. Okay, we've got lots of time. This is good. We've got like another 20 minutes at least. That's awesome. We'll finish this base, which is going to leave us. This is the easy part, right? We got to think about the flower next, and that's going to be the hard part. And I did make a sample, but I wasn't fully in love with it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Back loop. For this end one, I realized if you accidentally put two in one, it's probably not the biggest, it really doesn't matter that much. It's not the biggest deal if you accidentally messed up here because it's the last round. I mean, you don't want to mess up too much, but if you messed up once, it's not the biggest, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so because we're almost at the end here. You should end on a 1. So I just did 2 into here. I have the last one stitch here, and I should just do one more double crochet into there and then join. Okay, and it should look like this. And yeah, sometimes you have to flatten it out because when you're crocheting, it kind of scrunches up. So I just do my slip stitch into the top here. And if you want to leave this attached, like if you decide you want to do leaves later, you can. I'm just going to cut this because I want to be able to not have to worry about messing around with this when we do our petals. And that way because we can always easily join, right? Yes, it's an extra tail you have to work in, but it's not the biggest deal. So there is our base. You guys make sure to start with that. And then let's see, we still have a little time. So let's actually look at my first flower petal pattern just so you guys get an idea. Um, let's go over here. So I swap to a 4mm hook, a smaller hook. You could try to swap to the 3. The only thing is you may find that you kind of split or 3.5. You may find that you end up splitting the yarn a little bit more often just because, you know, that hook is slightly small for the 4 medium weight. Okay, so let's grab the hook. So I don't forget. Let's grab the hook. And what we do is I'm starting with the darkest pink that I have. And the reason why is because I'm trying to do an ombre, which means we're going from a dark color in this inside of the. So this is what I did for my sample, but I didn't love it. But I'm still going to show you because we're going to adjust this a little bit to make it better. I'm not going to actually use this dark pink color because it's too different than the other one. I'm going to use this instead. Okay, this one. It's slightly lighter, but that's okay. I didn't like this one because it leaves too many gaps because it's all cotton. And I think I prefer to do the acrylic because it's got a little more fuzziness to it. Okay. So I'm going to take this out. And I got this at the dollar store, $1.25. I couldn't believe how cheap that was. That's awesome. And it is smaller, of course, but I'm okay with that. Where is my starting yarn? Hmm. Okay, so let's just try to start on one of our first, not just our petals, we want something to go into. So although we did create these front loops to go into, I think it helps to create extra space, okay, for each petal. So you want to join, okay, with your darker pink, join into the front loop of the first round one, the most inner front loop. So remember this first round, we want to start here with the smallest petal. So we're going to join, and you really can join in any front loop. You can decide which one you want to join into. I'm just looking at, this is where we did all our joins here. So I'm just going to stick with that. I'm just going to go into this first front loop here, and I want to pull through with my pink. Okay. And then what I do is I do a chain 3 because we need a little extra space. So I chain 3. Whoops. One, two, three. And I know that always feels weird, but you can pull this and make that tight. Okay. Oh, did I accidentally count? I think oh no, yeah, that's right. Okay. And then what I do is I skip one stitch, single crochet into the next front loop. Okay. So I basically I'm in this one. I'm going to skip this front loop and I'm going to do a single crochet into there. So single crochet, skip, single crochet into this front loop. Okay. And then we're just going to chain two. Oh, I'm in the wrong round. Yeah, chain two. So chain two this time. One, two, and then skip again. So we're in here, we're going to skip this front loop and we're going to go into that next one and do another single crochet, and we're going to repeat all the way around. Okay, so chain two, one, two, skip this one, single crochet into that next one, chain two, one, two, skip this front loop, single crochet into this one, chain two, one, two, and I think we're here at the end because here we would skip this one, and this is where we joined, so it looks a little bit odd. We would be going back into here. So skip and then just join at the end here with a slip stitch. And what that does, okay, so what that does is it creates space, a thicker space, a bigger space for each of our petals to go into. So we can see here where we started, we made a space, right? That's for one petal, two, three, four, five. So we're going to make 5 petals into into each of these spaces, right? And that's kind of nice because it builds like a little foundation for you to work into. Okay, so let's do a little bit because we have a tiny bit more time left. We'll stop at 11:10 just to see if there's questions or comments. Um, so we've basically made all our way around, and then for round two, I chain two because we still need every time we need to raise the yarn, right? So if you think about what we're doing next is we are going to start making petals. Okay, we're going to start making petals and we want it to go up this way. So we need to raise the yarn, chain two, one, two. Okay. And then what I did is 3 double crochets into the chain 3 space. So technically there we chained 3 in the first one to give ourselves, because we joined, so we needed a little bit of, extra space. Um, and we can decide at this point, is 3 double crochets enough? Do you want to do 4 double crochets? Do you want to do 5? It's something to think about. So let's do the 3 first. So we're doing it all in this space that we've created, right? Let's do 3 double crochets. Okay, and since this is the smallest flower, I pretty much smallest petal, I ended it there. Um, let's look and see the size of that petal. So this is how it came out. These are those 3 double crochets, okay? And then you can see that I worked on top of them and made the petal even bigger. Okay, you can decide if you want to modify this a little bit and do an extra double crochet. If you want to make these petals bigger, you can. My my thought was to make this one smaller. The next level will be a little bit bigger. This is messed up, you guys. I didn't love the second level for sure. So we'll fix that. But I want to make the second level bigger, and then the third level, which I haven't even done yet, will make that even bigger, right? Each layer is going to get just a little bit bigger. You don't want it too much bigger. And you don't want the middle one too small either. You want them about the same, but only a little bit. It progressively will get a tiny bit bigger, okay? That's going to look a little bit nicer. So I will go ahead and just do the 3. Now, when you do the 3 double crochets, you have to work back down because you're making a petal, right? The shape of the petal goes up, over, back down. So you need to get back down into here. Let me see what the question is. Hold on. Okay, so let's just, what I mean by this is when you work back down, you're essentially going to do 2 chains again. So chain 2, 1, 2, and that gives you space to come back down this way. Does that make sense? And then let's see, what did I say? Then I 3 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch into the I need to modify this. This didn't come out well. I need to modify my language here. So basically what I wanted to do is, I'm telling you to slip stitch into here, into the single crochet. So remember when we did, actually the language is right. I just got confused. Okay, so slip stitch into that previous single crochet. And what that does is it brings it back down really low, all the way back into that single crochet. And you see you've got the very, very start of a very small petal. Now this is too small. So what happens is we're going to work back up and make this bigger. Okay, let me pause here because I think there's a... So if you want to continue, you're basically slip stitching into that next space so you can get into it. Okay, chain 2 again, then you're just doing the same thing over again. Chain 2, 3 double crochets into that space. And then chain 2 again so you can bring it back down. And then you're doing your slip stitch again. Slip stitch into there. Oops, slip stitch into the single crochet. Really, you can slip stitch even in this space. If you want to slip stitch back in here, that would be fine too. But you're just trying to make it all the way around and start a base, like a small little petal for you to crochet onto in the next round, if that makes sense. Okay, let's stop here.